Hello guys, welcome back to the Brute Investor channel. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. In this episode, we're going to talk about a new announcement that Binance made today, and this is about listing a coin called Gitcoin or the GTC token, right? Again, the announcement reads as follows. Binance will list Gitcoin and open trading for GTC BTC, GTC BNB, GTC BUSD, and GTC USDT trading pairs. Users can now start depositing GTC in preparation for trading. Withdrawals for GTC will open at 10/6/2021, which is basically today, from 2 p.m. UTC onwards, right? Since that time has already passed, we don't really have to worry about that. But let's talk about what Gitcoin is. Again, they're providing a small, description about what Gitcoin is, but we'll go through it in detail. Gitcoin is a platform to empower communities to build and fund open source public goods. GTC is the native governance token of the platform and is used for public goods funding and platform governance through the Gitcoin DAO. So basically, Gitcoin is a platform that has been the kind of like playground for all developers who want to develop cryptocurrency based projects in an open source environment. And Gitcoin basically allows the developers to kind of like develop programs, dApps, blockchain technology, and new innovations that we are seeing pretty much on a daily basis is kind of being developed on the Gitcoin platform, right? And it's used to kind of like fund the open source projects that we are seeing. So people who want to develop cryptocurrency based projects, they can go to Gitcoin and seek funding in order to build their projects with the support of the community, right? And in order to facilitate this one, they have their native cryptocurrency called GTC or the Gitcoin token, which is a native governance token of the Gitcoin platform and is mainly used for public goods funding, which means it's a token that's used to muster funding for the projects and platform governance through the Gitcoin DAO. So again, Gitcoin is a decentralized autonomous organization, and in order to kind of like govern activities within the Gitcoin platform, you can use the Gitcoin tokens to be a part of the governance process itself, right? So that's a pretty interesting project which we'll cover in detail pretty shortly. But if you guys want to have quick access to some of their socials and other information, including their website, you can access on Binance, right? So as always, let's go to the Binance research page for Gitcoin. So again, if you guys want to research on this project before you invest in this token, which I highly recommend you guys to do, you can go to their website or you can go to Binance Research in order to search for tokens that are listed on Binance, because they provide a very bite-sized information about a project which you can use on top of your own research, along with all the links that they provide in order to kind of like do your research, right? So I suggest you guys to go to Binance Research and search for Gitcoin. So what's the main takeaway for Gitcoin? Gitcoin is basically a platform to fund open source projects. So that's basically all Gitcoin is, right? It's a platform that aims to provide funding to freelance developers who want to develop cryptocurrency based projects that are that are basically a new innovation in the Web 3.0 world, right? So that's basically what Gitcoin does. Gitcoin is building and funding digital public goods. Gitcoin pioneered the use of quadratic funding and is the largest independent platform to fund open source projects of the crypto ecosystem via Gitcoin grants. So again, Gitcoin is basically providing funding to open source projects, and it's doing by doing that is basically contributing to the building and funding of all the goods and services that are available from the blockchain system, right? and it's one of the first few platforms to pioneer the quadratic funding, which again, if you want to know more, you can click on the quadratic funding icon on this page and learn more about it, right? And it's one of the largest independent platforms that is used by developers to get funding for open source cryptocurrency based projects and innovations, right? Through their Gitcoin grants, right? Gitcoin or GTC token holders can either request for voting rights and thus become a steward, or delegate their voting power to stewards. Stewards can vote on proposals or create proposals. If they exceed a quorum of 1 million Gitcoin or 1% of the total supply, the governance process consists of arbitration on Discord and the forum, off-chain voting, and on-chain voting, right? So again, there's a lot of information to kind of unpack. So by holding the Gitcoin tokens, what kind of value proposition will you get, right? And this paragraph kind of talks about that. So by holding Gitcoin tokens, your main kind of use case with this token is voting rights within the platform, right? So by holding Gitcoin tokens, you can either request for voting rights and become a steward, who's basically a person who has a right to vote, or you can delegate your tokens to other people in order for you to delegate your tokens to another steward who is basically going to vote on behalf of you, right? These are some of the two main functionalities when it comes to voting. Stewards can vote on proposals or create proposals. So if you are a steward, you can basically create proposals or you can vote on proposals, right? If they exceed a quorum of 1 million Gitcoin tokens, you will be able to create proposals, right? So that's basically how things work in the Gitcoin platform. The governance process consists of arbitration on Discord and the forum, off-chain voting, and on-chain voting. So again, what are the main kind of ways by which governance happens? It can happen in three kind of ways, right? It can basically happen on-chain, basically on-chain voting, or off-chain voting, very straightforward. And you can also have a governance component, basically, which is basically the arbitration on the Discord server and the forum, right? So that's something that's also kind of like a little bit unique to this project. GTC is Gitcoin's platform governance token. Initially, GTC can only be used to decide over parameters of Gitcoin grant rounds, example round size or ratification, but it is foreseen for GTC to play an increasingly central role in the Gitcoin DAOs. Again, as we discussed, GTC is their native token and it's also their governance token, which people can use to kind of like vote by being stewards, or they can kind of like delegate their tokens for other stewards to vote. But basically at this time, you can basically only use Gitcoin to decide over parameters of the Gitcoin grant rounds, which is basically round size or ratification. So there's only limited governance based use case for Gitcoin token currently, but in the future it seems to be likely that GTC tokens or Gitcoin tokens will have an increasingly important role in the direction by which the Gitcoin DAO will move, right? Or the entire project will move. So that's something that's very interesting. Note that the project has completed a retroactive airdrop for 15% of the total token supply. The token allocation is as follows: retroactive airdrop is 15%, Gitcoin DAO is 50%, existing stakeholders is 35%, right? So recently Gitcoin conducted an airdrop, again as they're stating here, it is basically 15% of the token supply, and it was awarded to people who are active participants of the Gitcoin platform for a long time, and people who actively supported the platform were retroactively airdropped a small portion of the 15% of the airdrop, right? Apart from that, you can also see that the Gitcoin DAO itself holds 50% of the tokens, again for several developmental as well as funding based reasons for them to hold that. Existing stakeholders hold 35%, right? Again, it will be interesting to see if there's a vesting schedule, and if there is, then how long is the vesting schedule for these tokens that are held by the stakeholders, right? So that will be interesting to see. Learn more about Gitcoin token distribution here. Again, you can click on this here button in order to access information that can provide you additional information about the Gitcoin tokens, right? As of June 10th, 2021, which is basically today, the total token supply of Gitcoin token is 100 million tokens, and the current circulating supply is only 14 million tokens, or 14.1% of the total supply. So again, the number of tokens in total, or the max supply, is basically 100 million tokens, which falls within the sweet spot, in my personal opinion, for tokens, because if you have tokens that are above 100 million tokens, then you kind of end up diluting the token supply in the long run, right? Or diluting the token's value in the market in the long run. So anything at or below 100 million tokens as a max supply is a good, kind of like a good indication that the token will have obviously short-term price slumping because of new tokens being injected and supplied to the market. But eventually there will be a point where the token will kind of balance out and will start appreciating in price, because it's still relatively rare, right? So in that case, I think the 100 million token supply is something that I really like. But as you see, the circulating supply is only 14.1%, so which is slightly better than several other projects which have less than 5% circulating supply and an extremely high max supply, right? And several of those tokens are already in the top 150 or top 200 rankings. But Gitcoin obviously is a relatively new project with a low circulating supply, so expect to see some price slumping in the short term, which we'll cover shortly, right? So again, if you see, there's 4,668 commit activity as of time I'm making this video, which means there's a lot of people, a lot of developers are committing to this project, and they're kind of in directly or indirectly many ways involved with this project, so that's really good. You can also find the Gitcoin repository of this project and see other information that can help you do your research, right? You can access their website, blogs, social media platforms, as well as a source code and block explorer, right? So that's pretty much it for a top level summary of this project through Binance Research. But let's go to their website, which is gitcoin.co, which is also one of the useful places to gather a lot of information about the Gitcoin project before you can invest in this project, right? So the Gitcoin DAO has officially started. Shape the future of digital public goods with Gitcoin's governance token. So again, the DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization for Gitcoin, has been officially live, and it's a relatively new project, so the DAO is still very early in its stages, and it will only continue to grow, right? And as more and more developers start interacting with Gitcoin, you can definitely see this community kind of growing, because there's going to be always needs for developers and innovative creators to build open source platforms that can revolutionize the crypto space, right? So that's definitely going to help not only the developers to grow, but also the Gitcoin community to grow as well, right? So build and fund the open web together, connect with the community developing digital public goods, creating financial freedom, and defining the future of the open web. So again, this is basically an embodiment of what an open web should actually look like. People should try to contribute their skills on on platforms like Gitcoin, which will provide them an opportunity to fund their project and also help succeed in the project's ventures, right? So Gitcoin is basically helping build and also help fund new innovative projects through the open web, right? So that's very interesting, and you can clearly see some really decent graphics here. So earn while building open source public goods projects that matter. So again, if you want to earn a small portion of the grant, depending on the complexity of your project and your impact of your project, you may probably be eligible for a grant which you can earn in Ethereum, right? Which is also something that will be relevant for people who want to also be invested in the crypto space for the long term. So I think for people who want to develop and have some innovative solutions, there's always an opportunity for them through Gitcoin to earn some of those fundings, which will not only help the community but also help the crypto space as a whole, right? Apart from that, you can also learn from Gitcoin, learn from industry leaders, and build meaningful relationships. Again, if you are looking for ways to learn, you can learn from the open community here in Gitcoin, and find ways to innovate on existing projects or even build a new product from scratch, right? Connect, team up with the community of builders to take on exciting open source projects. Again, if you want to communicate your ideas, or you want to see some new and innovative ideas that are fresh out of smart people's minds, you can obviously interact with a diverse group of community who are constantly brainstorming and trying to bring new innovation to the crypto space. You can kind of connect with them and also offer your own ideas as well, or be a part of their idea and try to help contribute in making their ideas a reality, right? Fund, support open source projects building the future of the open webs. Again, not only can you be a recipient of grants, but if you feel like you want to contribute financially to crypto projects or specific developers for specific projects, you can do that as well by funding or getting funding as well. You can also build this network of people or developers who can also get you exposure to certain venture capitalists who can help fund your project as well, right? So that's another opportunity as well. So again, there are several projects that have received funding through the Gitcoin grants, and many of them are extremely popular. In fact, a huge variety of DeFi and NFT, as well as a new crypto project in general, has at some point started its origins from Gitcoin, right? So that's one of the most important, powerful statements for this project. Millions in open source project funding. We've helped thousands of projects and teams grow their open source ecosystems. And if you see, they have basically funded $20.7 million so far, with 161,000 active developers being a part of the Gitcoin community who have developed some groundbreaking DeFi, crypto or NFT based project already, or people who are currently developing something that will revolutionize the future, right? So all of that is basically happening in Gitcoin, and they have basically funded several high quality projects, right? So that's very impressive. Why build Web3? The internet has unlocked unprecedented opportunities for collaboration and creation. Now Web3 technology like open source protocols and decentralized blockchains give us the ability to take that co-creation to a new scale. The Gitcoin community uses this technology to fund and build digital public goods, projects that serve everyone and solve our most immediate problems. Again, why do you want Web3 to be fully built out? The reason being, first of all, there's an opportunity for people to interact directly peer-to-peer instead of going to a centralized location like a school or a university or college in order to gather knowledge, because more traditional ways of gathering information has proven to be inefficient, because people don't really want to do coursework in a specific curriculum, right? They want to be open source, and they want to basically try to innovate and gather information and also provide ideas in a practical way, and that kind of creates a new kind of ecosystem to develop through which innovations like cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology have emerged, right? So basically, if you want to see the next step of internet happening, which is from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, then you can either be a contributor by offering capital to developers who have innovative ideas, or if you are a developer who has technical knowledge in coding, then you can seek some of these grants to make your vision a reality, right? So that's basically why you would need to support Web 3.0, and I believe Gitcoin is making it possible, right? Open source code meets open economies, build resilient projects, better coordination, and positive sum outcomes. Again, it seems like open source and open nature of any project makes it much more likely to succeed in the future than a closed proprietary version of a project, right? And that's basically being facilitated by Gitcoin, empowering growing networks with aligned incentives towards a well-being of each participant and the system as a whole. So the true altruistic nature of humans is basically showcased properly in environments where there's open interaction, open collaboration, and that kind of opportunity empowers developers to build better projects for the future. And collaborative, through distributed funding and organizations, we build together towards our shared goals. Again, so in order to make everything more collaborative, they are basically partnering with multiple funding organizations that offer fundings and makes these kind of collaborative projects possible, right? So all of these 3 points are very important for the future of crypto, as well as future of DeFi and NFTs, or any blockchain based innovation that's going to come out in the future. And it's good to see that Gitcoin has kind of made it possible through its platform, right? You can also get the latest information from Gitcoin by signing up to their newsletters, earn from projects that matter. So again, you can also work on identifying bounties and participating in hackathons, which will also be something that will not only boost your project if you have a project. If you are a investor who wants to invest in potential projects and innovations, you can do that as well through hackathons and bounties, right? So that's pretty much it when it comes to the major points of it. You can also learn to navigate and build Web 3.0. You can connect with the like-minded builders. Again, pretty straightforward concept. You can also fund the open web and shape its future by being an active investor. So who is using Gitcoin? There are several people who are using Gitcoin, and some of the most popular and notable names include Vitalik Buterin, who's the co-founder of Ethereum. You can also see people like Hishimaru Konkon, who is a developer, people like Sebastian TF, full stack developer, and several other people who are not really that well known, including people like Andre Cronje, who's the founder of Yearn Finance. They also use Gitcoin, and pretty much every single popular developer in existence has used Gitcoin or is using Gitcoin actively, right? So yeah, basically Gitcoin is a platform for you to get paid for working on open source software in Python, Rust, Ruby, JavaScript, Solidity, HTML, CSS, design, and more. So again, any project you have on any different programming language for any different or existing projects, you can be guaranteed to get some form of funding support, provided your project is of very good quality, right? And that's basically what Gitcoin is all about. Again, a very straightforward project. Again, it may not necessarily resonate with every investor, but for investors who want to see the root or the source from where all the groundbreaking innovations are happening, then Gitcoin is the place, right? And the Gitcoin token is probably going to be the future of Gitcoin token is going to be dependent on the future of Gitcoin platform itself, and how it manages to achieve its goals in making the transition between Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, right? So going back to the CoinGecko page for Gitcoin, you can clearly see that this token is ranked 223rd by market cap on CoinGecko, and it's currently trading at $13.30 with a 33.9% increase in the past 24 hours. Again, this is one of the tokens that has had both a Binance listing and a Coinbase listing simultaneously within a very short duration of time, and that has basically pushed the price of this token completely like crazy. And since many cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, are currently in the red zone, this token, because of its Coinbase and Binance-based pump, has managed to get above double-digit percentage in the positive direction, right? So that's very interesting to see. If you look at the market cap is only $175 million in market cap. If you think about all the groundbreaking innovation that we are currently seeing right now in the crypto space, everything had some direct or indirect ties with Gitcoin or some kind of source through Bitcoin, right? Through Gitcoin, right? So this kind of creates an opportunity for newer projects in the future to not only interact with the community and strengthen their projects, but also create something that will totally revolutionize the world that we know, right? Either by bringing new innovation in the form of cryptocurrencies or some new technology that is closely in line with cryptocurrencies or programming or development in general, right? And for that kind of potential that Gitcoin has, I think $175 million is still a relatively low market cap in my opinion, and I think this token has an incredibly high potential to pump harder, right? The max supply, again, is a really good number, 100 million tokens with 14.1% of its max supply in circulation. If you take the charts, the token is pretty much at its all-time highs right now. Again, not a really good time to buy, but I want to cover this so that you guys take enough time to read through the paperwork and documentation for this project to see if this is a good project to invest in. And as everything in life, everything goes up, everything that goes up must come down. So this project will also come down, and once you have done your research, you will have an opportunity to buy this token at a dip, which will be either a short-term or long-term investment depending on your research, right? So the information for this token is available since 25th of May this year, when this token price was initially trading at $13.34, but it immediately went down to $3.67, which was pretty much the recorded all-time lows for this project. But since then, the token kind of rebounded and has been in a general uptrend, right? Which is something that you have to definitely keep in mind because this project is clearly a very good quality project with a relatively fair distribution, and the initial airdrop kind of caused the token to dump extremely hard, reaching an all-time lows. But for people who bought this token at that price point, now at its all-time highs of about $13.42, are probably sitting at a very comfortable stash of cash, right? But I think this project has a very powerful potential to be, a very long-term sustainable investment project with new innovations being developed through its platform on a daily basis. And I think that kind of will supercharge the token price, and it can even grow to become a few $1 billion in market cap in the long-term future, right? So for a project with that kind of potential, I think this is a really early start for this project. It's still less than a month old, and therefore it does pose some form of unique risk to it. But again, once you get a dip opportunity, you can probably buy this token, and it's going to kind of perform extremely well in the long term, right? And if you take the Bitcoin comparative for this token, again, if you see, this token is also going up in the Bitcoin comparative as well. The initial token price was 34,900 Satoshis, but after the airdrop, it seems like people have dumped it, and the price dipped to an all-time low of 9,000 Satoshis per token. But it's since been rebounding and going in an upward direction overall, with the current price of about 37,000 Satoshis per token, pretty much at its all-time highs as well, right? If you take the Ether comparative, again, pretty much at its all-time highs for all three metrics. And if you see, the Ether value of one token was about 500,000 GUE per token, and then it crashed, reaching 132,000 GUE per token with an all-time lows at the time. But since then, as I mentioned before, it's kind of rebounded, and now it's at its all-time highs, especially after the massive Coinbase and Binance pump, where it's currently trading at 550,000 GUE per token, right? So I would probably say this is not a good time to buy, because you need to wait for a pullback, which I'm pretty sure this token will get one. It seems like this token is generally going to move in upward direction, so the pullback won't really be that significant. But once you identify a good pullback price point, which I would probably say that $12 or $12.50 to $12 range would be a really good dollar cost average price point. And you can also get lucky if the token goes below the $11.50 range, right, for dollar comparative. You can also follow the Bitcoin and Ether comparative as well and buy them at a smaller dip, which may not really last long, because this token is generally trending upwards, and it will continue to trend upwards for quite some time. Also, the new tokens that are going to be circulating will kind of cause the price to kind of slump for a short term. I don't think I'll worry about that, right? Because this is a token that you can buy and hodl for the long term, which will kind of appreciate exponentially in the future, right? If you take the exchanges, it's available on Binance, obviously. It's also available on Coinbase. You can get it from several other reputed exchanges as well, including Uniswap, as well as you get it from Uniswap version 2 as well as version 3. You can also get it from Gate.io and MXC, right? But if you're able to get it from Coinbase and Binance, and I don't think there's any other reason to buy it from other exchanges, right? So what's my final verdict on this project? I think this project has as a very risky investment, because it's still relatively new and it's less than a month old. It's probably a very risky investment. So I want to remind you guys that you need to bear extreme caution when you invest in this project. This project can go down in price now that it's kind of at its all-time lows. But if you plan to buy this one, you have to buy it with an expectation that it could be an extremely volatile asset. And if you are buying it for the short term, this token is not a really good buy opportunity at this moment, because it's at its all-time highs, right? But if you're buying it for the long term, then you can obviously buy it at a dip, which is pretty much coming soon, and you can hodl it for the long term, right? I do think that this project will have a lot more important role than just being a governance token for Gitcoin. But as they mentioned, they are basically stating that this token will play a key role in the future of the Gitcoin platform, right? So if you are buying this token at this price point, you are still extremely early, and this project is probably going to be one of the few projects that will end up being in the top 50 or top 25 in the next mid to long term range, right? So remember guys, you guys are not regular investors, you guys are brutal investors, so stay brutal. Thank you very much for watching my video, guys. If you like my video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. See you in my next video. Bye.